Well, good evening, everyone. Or, in fact, for some of you, it's still daytime. But I'm going to be talking to you about Pet Remedy, and some of you will already know lots about it, and some of you just a little bit. So, hopefully, by the end of this session, you'll all know a lot more. So, if we start with Pet Remedy and why it even exists, well, as we know, pets are an extension of our family, and like us, individual pets react differently to stresses in everyday life. And Pet Remedy really is a solution for this problem. It's a natural product which many people like and is a unique low dosage Valerian based blend of essential oils to help calm. It was developed and made in the UK, launched in 2010 as a result of one of my cats having behavioral issues, in fact, on my bed every 10 days. So it was a very strange thing because the cat was a very clean cat, but a new cat on the block, and the cat began to develop this habit. I tried everything available at the time. My partner was a psychiatrist, and she helped by researching this sort of problem, stress problem, and discovered a number of study papers directing us towards Valerian as a base for a calming product. So that was how we began to develop, and then with the help of a vet, Pet Remedy. Now, I could tell you, obviously, on this page, we're talking about how stress can be triggered and signs of stress, but perhaps we can skip that because I know that all of you have a good understanding of how stress affects our pets. Now, how it works, Pet Remedy. Now, the interesting thing with this is that because of its formulation, Pet Remedy quite simply works with the pet's own natural calming mechanisms. It does this by mimicking a natural calming agent present in all mammals, and in fact reptiles and birds as well. This is GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid. The formulation mimics GABA, so essentially tricks fired up nerves in any mammal into thinking they're getting a message from the brain to calm. And this is how and why it starts to help immediately. I mean, literally within seconds, and often within minutes, you will see a change in the demeanor of the pet, whether dog, cat, rabbit, horse. As we've explained, the formulation is mainly Valerian oil based, but we also have small inclusions of vetiver, essential oil, which is produced from a reedy grass that grows in Haiti, Malaysia, Indonesia, and then small inclusions of basil and clary sage essential oils, which come from France. Now, many Valerian preparations are really quite potent and will be more sedating than calming. The clever thing, if we can call it a clever thing, about Pet Remedy is that in low concentration, we discovered that the Valerian blend delivers a constant slow release and is in a low concentration band, which affects the metabolism in a very different way. And of course, because it's constant slow release, it's very gentle in its effect on the metabolism. Now, the effectiveness of Valerian, well, we use now a Valerian absolute oil, which is a very concentrated oil compared with essential oil. We now bring this in from Europe, and it's obtained by a cold extraction from the roots of the Valerian plant, and in particular one actual variety rather of Valerian. There being nearly 200 different varieties around the world, most of which don't have any medicinal properties. We use Valeriana officinalis, and this has been used for centuries as an effective and safe calming agent. Now, obtaining the valerian oil by cold extraction makes sure that we really get all the goodness from the valerian roots. Historically, we used an essential oil from China. Now, this was obtained by steam distillation. When you produce an oil by steam distillation, of course, you do lose some of the properties because of the heat and steam involved in the process. With the cold extraction, we get all the goodness, but of course, we also retain the color and quite a strong aroma with it, as some of you will know. So we have had to learn to work with that and filtrate both the aroma and work with the color too, to reduce that. Now, about the formulation, well, it's natural, clinically proven, so we can talk about that in a short while, the various studies we've undertaken, and also the various studies that are underway at present. About the formulation, we know that it's very easy to use. Tablets, injections are always rather invasive and difficult, particularly when you're talking about cats or rabbits or other pets. We know that it starts to help immediately because of the way it works. It helps calm a pet without sedating, therefore. It will help the stressed pet become more aware of surroundings and more attentive and receptive to the owner, the trainer, the behaviorist, which in turn helps with training and confidence building. We know that Pet Remedy helps all pets in the household or in a veterinary or rescue centre, but will only have an effect on the pet that is stressed, because quite simply, you cannot be even more calm. So if the pet is already calm, then Pet Remedy will have no effect. We know that the blend has a warm, earthy, herbal aroma. We've now been able to, in recent months, we've been able to work on this and filtrate some of the aromas so that it's, because many people complained that it was a bit strong. So that we've been able to address. We listen all the time to people's feedback and reviews and comments, and constantly work to improve and work with this natural formulation. The effect lasts from 2 to 6 hours, depending on the individual pet. The product range, well, as you probably already know, a plug diffuser, a calming spray, a battery-operated atomizer, and in fact now we have individual calming wipes in a sachet coming on the market, which again will address situations where you might not have a spray, or you can have one in your pocket. It will find its place, I'm sure, in the product range. Now, to start with the plug diffuser, we know obviously very easy to use. A plug diffuser is simply a little heated ring that creates warm air. Warm air rises, so that action is enough to draw the actives and the liquid up the bottle, up the wick, and up into the surrounding area. So that's the only way a plug diffuser works. It's not a little fan or anything complicated. Very cheap to run, just 5 watts, covers really quite a big room. And you would locate where the pet spends the most time, so the room in which the pet spends the most time. The calming sprays, which is probably far more relevant to behaviorists and trainers because of its versatility, it really addresses, delivers a more localized, immediate effect in a given situation. The plug diffuser, of course, is in a room, and it will provide ambient help, but the sprays are with you. You can use them how and when you need, and of course, how many squirts would depend on the individual pet. We also, as you probably know, have a battery-operated atomizer. This was originally developed for rescue centres, and in fact, Battersea pets, for instance, dogs and cats, for all their different centres, they use 120 of these, with great effect. The idea with the battery operated atomizer is that it delivers a metered dosage every 30 minutes, but you can set it to 60 minutes or even 120 minutes. And it will last up to 8 weeks if set at 30 minutes, which is the standard setting. How you would use, well, we've already talked about the plug diffuser in the room where the pet spends the most time. With the calming sprays, you would use on bedding, bandana, but actually many vets and nurses and pet professionals will spray on themselves, on their tunics, on their cuffs, on their hands, because the pet remedy calming spray is water-based, it's pH neutral, so absolutely fine to have on your skin or the coat of the animal. So they would spray perhaps on their fingers and rub around the muzzle, under the chin, top of chest of the dog or other pet. You can actually even spray on your trouser leg and bring the dog to heel, for instance, to take in the actives if you anticipate an adverse situation. Now, on evidence, we have lots of anecdotal evidence, testimonials coming in literally daily on Facebook, for instance, and many people writing in to tell us. For instance, on Facebook, now nearly 29,000 likes and hundreds of reviews for cats, dogs, rabbits, horses, but even unexpected pets or rescue or wild animals, such as hedgehog rescue centres or from zoos. So some very interesting reviews to read. As you can see, these are just these pages on the PowerPoint show you a few examples of cats. You won't be able to read that, but you're very welcome, all of you, to email me or email Kate, and then I can send you reviews and, of course, full details of the clinical studies, which we will come to in a minute. But these are reviews for cats. You have reviews for dogs, even a horse, for instance, and an owl from a veterinary nurse saying how well it worked for the owl, who was really quite aggressive until she started using the Pet's Remedy Diffuser. Now, the clinical evidence, now we know that Valerian, or we knew before we even started, which is what set us on this journey, that Valerian root oil had been used for centuries as an effective and safe calming agent, and in higher potency as a sedative. And there is ample anecdotal evidence about this and the efficacy. And in fact, there were a number of published research papers, for instance, identified on Medline. We originally saw a paper published in 2004 by a Japanese team who had shown that using valerian root oil, they could actually modulate the GABA receptor functioning. And although this was in vitro results, so these were undertaken on dead rats, but nonetheless, this was enough to show the clinical effectiveness and show that the valerian actives actually cross the blood-brain barrier in sufficient quantities to make a difference. Now, the studies we started with a study at Exeter University in 2013. This was on just 28 dogs. It was supposed to be more dogs, but the university had problems in the time strictures, getting in enough dogs to work within the study. So this paper was actually written up and summarized, and they showed that there was an efficacy. It's recently been published, and in fact, the published paper shows that there isn't a real difference. Now, this was really because in order to get the paper published by the author, it was easier to show no real results. It was an easier way of getting it actually published. But the original paper showed with the statistics and data analyzed that there was a difference in behavior, that those used that were subjected to Pet Remedy did calm. The study 2 and 3, which have been completed, were with the Animal Behaviour Centre in Manchester, working with professional dog trainers, and both of those showed good efficacy. We have currently a study being undertaken by Lisbon University for 30 cats, one for at Langford's Bristol University. We know that the results for that are very good for rabbits, and that one will be, we hope, published. We hope that by Christmas the results will be ready for submitting for publishing, for peer review, and for publishing in a veterinary journal. Study 6, 7, and 8 are all at Sparsholt College, and they're very much underway and again showing good results. We even know that there's a new study underway there for donkeys that are being actually kept inside the building in stables, and there actually a study is underway to see how Pet Remedy can help in calming them. Study 9 is a dog groomers observational study, as we called it. Now, this involved 242 dogs, and in fact, Kate was very much involved in this and helped all right from start to finish. And the results of this were that 96% of the 70 dog groomers participating reported calmer dogs. Again, all the details of these studies are available. Now, who do we supply? Now we supply over 2,500 veterinary practices, over 180 different rescue organisations, including the big ones, RSPCA, Blue Cross, Battersea. They've all trialled it first, every one of them, because it was a natural product. Their first reaction was to think, oh, here we go, another natural product. Where's the science? So we had to be able to show not only science, but behind it, but also to show efficacy. It wasn't enough for me to say it works. They had to try it. And the results are that they all use it now on a daily basis. Likewise, pet retailers, over 2,500, many of whom actually use Pet Remedy on a daily basis. We also supply many pet professionals such as groomers, behaviourists, trainers, but also pet sitters, dog walkers, kennels, catteries, even zoos. And Pet Remedy is now available throughout the world in 24 different countries. Now, perhaps we can skip the prices. I don't think that's necessarily relevant. Awards, well, we've really, since we launched, we've had every year we've won some award, whether Manufacturer of the Year, Product of the Year, even in America, Pet Business Industry Award in 2015. But to summarize, a natural product, clinically proven to help, easy to use and fast acting, and helps all mammals, reptiles and birds. And there we are. I think that brings us, I've quickly taken us through that. Kate, are you there?
Hi,
no?
Yes, Martin, yes. Yes, I'm here. Very interesting. Okay, have you got any questions? If you have got some questions, could you type them in the message box, please? I've got one actually. I'll kick off, Martin.
Please do.
Can animals actually get used to it? So eventually,
So they habitualise to
it.
Well,
that's it.
Yes. Well, 8 years from the launch, we found that no is the answer. They really don't. The action of Pet Remedy is so non-intrusive, perhaps, that the body doesn't try and develop a resistance to it. It's one of the reasons, this sort of difficult to explain scientifically reasons, that it works so effectively. It's that it really has that very gentle outside interference on the metabolism.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things that seems to make all the difference. But I know, for instance, from my cat, that if the bottle runs out, he will start peeing again, and it's a matter of habit.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where there's no reason. The original reasons that triggered the stress are
Yes.
long gone. New cat on the block, but yet somehow, as with dogs, they just have this learnt behaviour from a particular period in their lives or a particular situation,
Yeah.
and that can be very difficult to remove.
Yeah, interesting. A couple of questions here. A similar one from Sue Harron and Brigitte. Sue saying, will owners become more calm if using the diffuser? And Brigitte's asking if it has an effect on humans as well. And actually, I'd just like to pipe up and say I have one in my bedroom, and I always know when it's run out because I don't sleep as well. I can always tell. So I find it, yes, it certainly it affects my quality of sleep. So,
Yes, there we are. And again, to look on Facebook, I actually have to delete some reviews because they're just too extreme, really, in saying how well it's helped with humans, if you like. And we're not allowed to make claims, about how effective it is with humans. But of course, we're all mammals, and does it help? Yes, it does. But again, selectively, if you're calm, it will simply have no effect, because as I said in the presentation, you can't be even more calm.
yeah. So will you actually do any studies on people in the future? Is that something that you have?
Well, yes, and yes, we will, but it will take time to get, because then it has to be licensed, or a bit like a lot of natural products, you cannot make any claims.
Yeah.
You simply allow people to find out for themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
It's one of those things where you have to be if you want to make a claim and say this will help, well, then you need clinical studies run with humans over a period of time, which can be very expensive and long-winded.
Yeah. We've got a question here from Jackie England. He says, I've always been told that when using essential oils for dogs, you should offer them first and let the dog decide if they are happy with them. But obviously, if there's a pet remedy plug in the room, the dog doesn't have the choice to whether it's affected by the scent or not. Is that a problem?
Well, again, it's such a gentle intrusion. It's not a concentrated, harmful aroma that's going to be overwhelming. So no, if the dog was unhappy with it, and being absolutely truthful, we've never heard of a dog reacting to the pet remedy and hating it and barking or showing distress from the smell. So no, I think we can safely say, and based on experience from many rescue centres where many dogs in a given situation are exposed to it, and we haven't had reports of adverse reaction in that sense.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. Yeah, but
Rachel Peake has asked, how soon after spraying the product, for example, would you expect to see an effect? And in fact, I'll just pipe in again. One of the cases I was involved in was a dog that had very severe separation anxiety, and the chiropractor came, and the dog was very stressed, wouldn't let the chiropractor go near him. We sprayed some pet remedy in the room, and within 10-20 seconds the dog relaxed enough for the chiropractor to put his hands on the dog. Now, of course, it didn't sort the severe separation anxiety, but it calmed the dog enough to be so that the dog could actually be touched. So that's one of the sort of the very sort of quick how quickly I've actually seen it work.
Well, yes, and I think that's a good opportunity to say this isn't a magic pill. It's simply a tool for your toolkit, for your toolbox. It's something that's going to help you in getting the dog more alert to you, just more aware of surroundings and more attentive to you, so that you can work on the issue, on the problem. And that's the great thing about it. Now,
Yes.
some people say, oh, well, it didn't work for my dog. Well, my psychiatrist friend, if she was here today, would explain that actually it will be having an effect. But of course, just as with humans, some people react, fight it or don't respond in the same way. But it should help in calming.
Mm.
But there is that matter of learnt behavior. So that may
Yeah.
still be overwhelming. And of course, for instance, you use the pet remedy, but the doorbell goes. Well, guess what? The dog will almost certainly react to that.
Yeah.
And the nerves will fire up because he's excited
Yes.
and he'll run to the door. And that's good. We don't want to suppress. This is where we don't want a sedative. We don't want something is going to really sedate or take the dog down in any way. This is about just bringing the nerves down,
Yeah.
so that he's then more workable with.
So they can learn, yes, because of course stress in it, learning. So if they're that bit calmer, you say,
Yes.
training's more effective. So what about animals like sort of your pocket pets, your hamsters, your birds? I mean, how would you introduce pet remedy to them? And can you actually give them too much, particularly with the smaller animals? I mean, how would you, if you've got a hamster, say, how would you introduce pet remedy to something like that?
Well, again, as with reptiles and birds, small mammals have small lung capacity, so you have to be respectful of that and not go spraying all around them. You would just use a small amount. This is where the plug diffuser is ideal, and we supply a number, probably 7, maybe 8 different parrot rescue centres around the country. And they advocate the plug diffuser because it's constant slow release. So that couldn't be better, really. But if you were going to use the spray, you would spray a little bit again on yourself if you're handling the parrot. For a vet, what they would do, and with small mammals, is to spray a little bit on a towel and then towel wrap the rodent or even a rabbit in order to undertake a procedure. And we know from the veterinary shows we do that where vets have told us that they've been able to, for instance, clip a rabbit without sedating, where they'd normally have to get ketamine out and sedate the rabbit. But actually, with the pet remedy, has been enough to allow them to complete the procedure.
That's good. We've got Dave Bain here, whose other half is a vet, and he's saying that she uses the product in her own surgery quite a lot, with quite a lot of success. And they also use it on their own dogs, their own show dogs, to reduce stress.
Great. Well, great to hear.
Yeah,
but now we actually even supply zoos. So
yes,
as you know, we're now getting feedback there. Just recently, for instance, Aspinall Zoo told me how well it had worked for meerkats, with introducing 2 new meerkats to the colony. And normally fur would fly. They're very territorial and aggressive when they want to be, and it really helped. But likewise, you would see on Facebook, K-Star Hedgehog Rescue talking about how they use it for bonding, and ferret rescue centres, because the one-time ferrets get stressed, and apparently same with hedgehogs. The one time they get stressed is when a new arrival is there. That's with the bonding.
Yeah.
And we know, for instance, from Jo Hind, who's a veterinary nurse, and, with the Rabbit Welfare Association, she talks about using the pet remedy obviously to calm the rabbits, but also to help with scent swapping, which is a great way of getting them to bond. So you would spray a little bit on your fingers and rub, or on the muzzle again, the top of the chest, or spray a little bit on a cloth and then use the cloth to wipe around the muzzles, which is what they did with the meerkats.
Yes. Yeah.
But talking of exotics, we had a story which I heard at the London Vet Show from an exotics vet. He had to move an elephant from Liverpool to London, The
Wow.
elephant was very stressed, just swaying from side to side, staring straight ahead. And he's a great advocate of pet remedy,
Mm.
and he was wondering how to use it. I mean, obviously, you can't spray on a bandana with an elephant. That would be, so that's not going to work. But suddenly, the elephant got down on one knee and proffered his trunk, gave him his trunk. So, at a loss of what else to do, he sprayed a little bit on the trunk, in the trunk, and within minutes, apparently, the elephant stopped swaying and started looking around. And they found it much easier to load him, and he travelled. He travelled well, and that was an extraordinary story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. How
Often
interesting.
reminds you that it's not about dosage needing a larger quantity, as with many other forms of medication.
Mm.
You would have to weigh the pets and decide,
Mm.
on dosage. But this, it's just enough you just need a small amount of the actives to trigger that reaction, to,
Yeah.
where they just enough to trick those fired up, excited nerves into thinking they're getting a message to calm.
Yeah. Interesting. We've got David from Sweden here. Hi, David. He's saying in a training hall room running dog classes, I presume the plug-in would be most appropriate. I have previously used the spray for one-to-ones with great success. So is a plug-in more appropriate for a training room?
Yes, certainly that's going to work well so long as the training room's not too big. A lot of dog trainers we know use the battery operated atomizer,
Yeah.
but otherwise the battery operated atomizer is really just a spray, but except it's actually dispensed on a regular basis, frequent basis.
So,
But otherwise you could use the spray, just spraying a little bit around, whether on cloths or again on the dog's muzzles and under chin, top of chest in the training session, particularly those that needed it. But as a background, and often, and in fact probably usually most trainers will use both,
mm. And what about things
both the
like,
plug-in ambient.
sorry, horses in stables? What would you use? Would you have the atomizer
Well,
for something like that?
yes,
Or?
battery operated atomizer.
Mm.
Again, we had a great story on Facebook from Charlotte Ward, who's on the British International Dressage team.
Yeah.
She had a horse on box rest for over a month. The horse, of course, was going stir crazy.
Mm.
She tried everything from Carmex, Zilkine, with no effect whatsoever. She was introduced to the pet remedy spray. She tried just spraying on her fingers and rubbed around the muzzle of the horse and sprayed a little bit on a towel which she hung near the hay net. And she said within minutes the horse came down. And in fact, she phoned us to tell us about this. And I then asked her,
Mm.
please, to put it on
Yes.
Facebook. It
Yes.
was such a wonderful story, which she did.
Yeah.
But this is often what happens. People phone us to say, this has made such a difference.
Yeah.
It's sorted a problem.
Great. We've got a
Yes, that's with a horse.
yeah.
And likewise, if you're out, I mean, farriers spray on themselves, for instance, on
Yeah.
their tunics.
Mm.
But if you're at a gate, trying to get a very fractious horse in, again, you would spray on yourself, on your front, but on your fingers and rub around the muzzle of the horse and top of chest. And it really does help.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We've got a comment from Karen Boyce here who says, I have a plug-in but can't leave on in the hall. She doesn't say why. Perhaps you'd like to expand on that, Karen. She says, so she starts with a spray at the beginning of class. But Karen, if you'd like to tell us why you can't leave the plug on in the hall, then perhaps Martin will be able to answer that. Jackie England's asking, is there anything in the remedy other than the valerian and essential oils? Is any solution used as a carrier?
Well, yes. What we use with the plug diffuser is DPG, which is a very, very mild volatilizing oil, which is used in skin products for humans. It's very, very well researched and very, very gentle in its effect. So, because we need something to help just get the actives and the valerian up into the air. So that's how that works. And with the sprays, they're water based, pH neutral. So water is the main excipient for the spray.
So is the plug-in, sorry, the plug-in and the spray slightly different in the ingredients?
Well, only that you have to, with a plug diffuser, you have to use a volatilizing oil,
Right,
something to help it up in the air.
I
If
see.
it was water-based, it would just stay flat and inert. You would never get anything up into the air.
Right, I see.
Now, many people use paraffin wax, paraffin oils, for instance, and derivatives, which we're not keen on. And others actually use ethanol and alcohols, which again we wouldn't
Yeah,
even consider.
okay. We've got another question from David from Sweden. How does it work with other remedies such as Adaptil, xylocaine, or other or other medicines for that matter?
Yes. Well, again, because it's very gentle in its effect, it can work alongside those. I mean, we know that some people that have been using the pheromone products, i.e. Adaptil or Fellaway, for many years, carry on using for a little bit, both of them, and that's fine because they work very differently. But
Okay.
the pheromone products are a synthetic, a copy of a pheromone. So it's working in a very different way.
Yeah. Okay. Question from
Yeah.
Karen Boyce here. Oh yes, she's when hiring a hall for dog classes, it's not possible to leave a plug-in permanently. So start with the spray. So yeah,
Yes, certainly. I mean, the great thing about a spray, as I said in the presentation, is that it's immediate and it's localized. It will work where you want it to work.
yeah,
Whereas the plug diffuser because it relies on drafts, air movement in the room.
yeah,
It's sort of a little bit more. It's ambient, which is good, but it's background. It's just there, really more over a period of time. As you say, if you've got a training class
yes,
or puppy class, socializing class, then the spray is by far the best thing, perhaps.
yeah,
And most people
yeah,
discover they like you, Kate, probably discover very quickly how to use the different products we offer, the
yes,
different types of product, the different methods of delivery.
yes.
You very quickly work out which is best for you in a given situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And Karen's just saying yes. It's she wasn't questioning it. It's just a statement.
Good point.
Very, very
Yes,
useful.
absolutely. Yes.
Rachel Peake is asking, how is Pet Remedies effectiveness compared to taking Valerian orally? That's a good question actually, because obviously there are Valerian products you can put in food. So how?
Well,
I mean, that's going to.
most most of the Valerian tablets are that bit stronger and involve a course of tablets. It will take longer to work. It's more sort of invasive, if you like. I mean, with dogs, yes, of course, you can. It's very easy to get them to take tablets. But the great thing with the pet remedy is it's not invasive, and it really does start to help. Actually, within seconds, but within minutes, you can often see this change in demeanor. And that's quite simply because you take in the actives through the nasal membranes, straight very quickly into the bloodstream, far quicker than you would if you were ingesting.
Yeah, interesting. Sherry Steele is saying, I'm using Pet Remedy spray very successfully for my dog at the moment, but I've noticed one of my cats comes running when I spray and has a very excited reaction, rubbing herself all over the place where I've sprayed. And she's asking, is this a usual reaction? Does it indicate stress or is she excited? And then she just calmed down very quickly and sits close by the scent.
Cats tend to love the smell of valerian. So that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the way the valerian's working as a calming agent. But the valerian is a little bit like the smell to a cat is a little bit like catnip. It gets them, really, well, some very excited. And they do tend to love the smell of it. Many dogs love the smell of valerian as well, and will try and lick the plug diffuser if you're not careful.
Yes. Yes. So,
Yeah.
okay.
But I'd hasten to say, that it's purely about smell with the the catnip and the comparison with catnip and valerian, because catnip has very, very different effect on cats. And in fact, too much is really not good for them, because it
Right.
can work a little bit like an hallucinatory
Right.
drug on them. It's not something I personally would advocate.
Right, that's interesting.
Mm.
Okay, have we got any more questions, folks? You mentioned the wipes, Martin. That's your newest product. When are those actually going to be available?
Yes, well, yeah. Can you
Yes,
can you
we can see
see?
those.
Well, there is one. Yes, and if you can see, you just literally open up the wipe, and this really does last quite a while.
Mm.
It's just got a small amount of the Pet Remedy spray in it, if you like, and then you can use it to wipe around the muzzle, under chin, top chest, or place it in the cat basket or dog crate in the car on the way to training. When you're there, you can quickly wipe. It's just really going to be another method of delivery, if you like,
Very
which
handy.
I hope. Yes, well, exactly, very handy.
And when's that actually going to be available?
Well, we've actually produced now the first batch, so
excellent.
it's I'd say it will be launched after Christmas, but anyone who wants any samples are very welcome to
Yes, please.
let you know, Kate. Yes, and be very happy to let you have some, and I'll welcome some feedback. In the meantime, we have given them to local vets who have been very pleased with the results.
Good. We've got another.
Again, ideal vets to give perhaps to a patient that's going home, where the client doesn't want to spend any more money on a pet spray. Well, the great thing is that the cheapness of a little sachet is such that a vet is quite happy, or nurse, to give them
Yes.
a wipe to go home with. So that's what we had in mind.
Yes.
Same with rescue centres. Great to be part of a new home pack. If the rescue centre can't go to the expense of putting in that home pack, little mini spray, refillable mini spray.
Yeah. Yes. Good. I mean, and what I love about the product is particularly if you've got the plug-in, the client actually doesn't have to do anything, doesn't have to remember to do anything. And I think, for compliance, that's a really big advantage of it. Karen Boyce is saying here, some of the dogs in class, particularly the Cocker Spaniels, like to lick the remedy off the hand. Is that okay?
Well, yes, there's nothing toxic in it. And you have to remember too, some people say, oh my God, essential oils are bad for pets, bad for cats, for instance. But actually, the concentrations we have in, it's really, it doesn't even come into an equation of being harmful.
Yes. Okay. Interesting.
Tiny dosages.
Yes. Karen's just saying, yes, great, as it actually, as it is a product that works so well. Okay, have we got any more questions or for Martin, or are we going to wrap up there? So, Martin, will you let me have a copy of the presentation and I can email that out to everybody?
Yes, I will.
Because obviously there's a number of people who couldn't make it from Sunday, so who are very interested in listening to the recording and having the presentation.
Oh, great.
Okay.
So, and any other questions that anyone thinks of afterwards, please let Kate know, and we can come back to you and we can give you an answer. Because there's always something you think of afterwards and think, oh, I should have asked him about this or that.
Absolutely. Lots of thank yous in the chat box now. So
Great pleasure to. Thank you very much.
I think that's about it. Well, thank you very much, Martin, and we'll speak soon.
Yes, thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.